Not good. Really, really not good news this morning. Welcome back to a new video. God, there's been a lot of talk about Alexander Isak in the last couple of days, but I think this one is pretty significant. Reports this morning are that Alexander Isak, despite Eddie Howe insisting that he would be part of the squad for our Asia tour, reports this morning are that Alexander Isak has not boarded the plane and will not be joining the team in Singapore and South Korea. Ooh, yeah, not good at all. You know what it is? Panic buttons at the ready. I have said myself throughout this, and we'll talk a little bit about it. You know, the rumours or the reports that he's wanting a 300 grand deal. Obviously, the talks about Liverpool move, the talk about Saudi Arabia. In fairness, to talk about injury as well. And that's kind of what's been played up as the reason as to why he's not gone to Asia, which could very well be the case. But I have to say, for me, it was, if Isak boards that plane and he's spotted in Asia with the players, pre-season training, I'm fairly confident that he's going nowhere. That's what I've been saying for the last few weeks. So now to have the news this morning that he has not gone with the team, it feels fairly significant, and obviously is pretty negative news for us Newcastle fans. Obviously, the Liverpool stuff was shot down fairly quickly by Newcastle and Big Yasser of the PIF to say that he's going nowhere. Reports were that we were disappointed with the approach from Liverpool. But what it did, and this was why I found it interesting, because although Liverpool didn't officially place a bid, I assumed what they'd hoped to do was unsettle him in the hope that they could come in at a later date in the summer and buy him. But then they've gone and bought Ekitike anyway. So they've kind of unsettled them and then bogged off. Unless Liverpool have the money, you know, God knows they could still have the money if they wanted to push. But it just started to send us into a little bit of a spiral, which then strangely landed as talks of Saudi Arabia. The Saudi talks seem to be what was unsettled him, and that's why he wasn't part of the Celtic squad, and that then seemed to instigate the talk of wages of 300 grand a week, which, you know, is massive wages, is not something I think Newcastle would consider or really entertain at the moment. I was going to say could afford. I think Newcastle probably could afford it, bearing in mind the transfer budget we currently have available. Now, you can let me know down in the comments, do you think it's worth paying Alexander Isak 300 grand a week just to get him on side, just to get that extra year, or is kind of throwing our wage structure down the toilet not the best move for the club? You know, no one man isn't bigger than Newcastle United, and as much as Alexander Isak is a fantastic player, is sending us down that spiral of 300 grand a week wages, and then all of a sudden Bruno's on half the amount, and he's going, well, what the hell? I want a piece of that action, and then so does Gordon, and so does everybody else. So it's a really tricky one. I think with, you know, we've talked about power plays this summer window. If it's true, and Isak has genuinely asked for 300 grand a week, I think it is just a power play. Whether it's him or his agent, I think that's it. Because I think they know that realistically Newcastle wouldn't pay 300 grand a week. So it's almost a situation of saying, like, look, I've got 3 years left on my deal. If you want me to extend it, I want 300 grand a week. Otherwise, you're going to have to let me go. Whether it be this summer or next summer, it's kind of putting in an ultimate. It's kind of an ultimatum, a request to leave. It's kind of putting that out there without actually asking for it. It's like, yeah, I'm happy to stay. 300 grand a week and I'll sign the deal tomorrow. It's like, like, you're saying you do, but you do you? And then photos come out of him training on his own at the Newcastle training ground, which I tried to defend because I thought it's easy to get anything out of anything. Oh, Isak's training on his own. Well, maybe he fancied a cool down at the end of the train, and maybe his pal wanted to have a chat about the weather. I don't know. Like, there was reasons for that didn't have to be he's unhappy, he's been sent to the sidelines, he's not involved. And reports came out that he had an injury. It's meant to be hopefully a minor injury. Reports were that he had a scan. There was reports that the scan came back clear. So now you're getting into this situation where, well, he's reported injured, but then there's reports saying that he's not injured. And then now you're getting into the worrying space of, is the injury the cover story? Is the injury the reason we're using as to why maybe he's not getting involved with training? Let's try and, say that, yeah, maybe he does have a minor injury. For me, do you miss out on a full pre-season tour because you've got a minor injury? I don't know. Do you? If it was a major injury and he was on a table somewhere getting, acupuncture or whatever, I'm sure that's probably not what they do for thigh injuries. But anyway, fair enough. But if he's, surely, even if he's not playing in the games, being out there with the lads, getting involved, enjoying the pre-season is still important. I find it strange that if it is a minor injury or even an injury that was granted as clear on scans, why he wouldn't go with the team. I find that really tough to kind of understand. And let's just say that he is injured and that is why he didn't go. It's still bad news because really we want our top striker to be on this pre-season tour, getting game time, getting minutes, playing with the players. So regardless of what's actually going on, it's bad news. Strangely enough, best case scenario may well be that he is actually injured. I don't know how I've come round to that conclusion or how I can even say that, but at least that way, if he is getting the proper rehab, maybe he needs to stay in Newcastle because we have better facilities available. I'm pretty sure Singapore probably have some really good facilities. I'm pretty sure they have the exact same medical staff over there that we do here. But again, we're trying to roll with the punches a little bit. Let's say he needed to stay behind because he is injured and he does need the rehab time. Then, let's hope that he gets the rehab that he needs and then he's ready to go in time for the start of the season very soon. The worst case scenario would be, I guess, that there's a move getting pulled here because he wants to leave, or there is some plan or possibility that he could leave the club. I mean, another side to that is, if Newcastle could there be a fallout, like a falling out? Maybe it's not necessarily that he said that Newcastle ourselves are planning to sell him, because the reports are that Newcastle said no to Liverpool, have said no to Saudi, have said no to everyone, you're not going anywhere. But then if Isak's coming back and going, well, fine, then I'll stay, but I want 300 grand a week, then you're kind of getting into a territory of maybe he hasn't officially asked to leave, but are we in a situation where he's throwing his... I can't see it from Isak, though, and the reports are that he's still as cool as a cucumber and happy where he is, so I really don't see why there would be a move played to kind of stay back, unless it's Eddie Howe. I could see it more from Eddie Howe than I could see it from Isak. If Isak's going, well, I want 300 grand a week, and then Eddie Howe's going, well, stuff you, go and train by yourself. I could see it from Eddie. I think Isak seems, a little bit too mild for that. But, you never know what's going on behind the scenes. Regardless, the news is that Isak has not travelled with the squad. So I've just basically laid off all of the possibilities there. Really, all of them are bad. Some are worse, leaving, fallouts, and then even bad, he actually does have an injury, and in which case, we need to get him fully fit and ready to go as soon as possible. Oh, that is a way to start your morning. Thoughts and comments down below on Isak not travelling with the squad to Asia. Do you think this is, bad news? Let me know down in the comments below. Or do you think it's honest and that he has an injury? Howe has picked up an injury between... Eddie Howe said a week, less than 3-4 days ago, that he was definitely going to be on the tour. How has he got that injured in not playing? He didn't play against Celtic. Was doing mild training anyway. How has he got that injured between Eddie Howe swearing that he would be on the trip to now, 4 days later? That's the worry. That's the thing that just does not compute in my brain. Unless the medical staff took over and Eddie Howe will have his reasons, I'm sure, and will no doubt be asked about it very, very shortly, and we will be waiting to hear. Thanks for watching, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, or what you can of it after hearing that one. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Breaking news on the channel, as always. And yeah, let's get ready and get on. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.